People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, you lot know in football, rightly or wrongly, there's talk of salary caps. A lot of individuals talk about salary caps, and I always say, yeah, there are some, when you know, there's sensibility behind salary caps, but then, you know, a lot of these people, you speak to them, they're all up for salary caps in football, but put salary caps in their job, they're not on it, and they say, oh, but these are earning millions. Okay, but you could earn thousands. You like, do you get it? I don't believe in salary caps. You know, I do think you should operate within your model. There should be resources. Obviously, if there's already rules within place, work around it. But in theory, I don't believe in salary cap. Why should your earnings be capped? Why should your earnings be capped? It's a myth. I don't believe in equal wages as well. Obviously, in the working place, I'm talking specifically about sport. You know, for the honest man and woman, you should be paid equally at equal base salary, and then whether you earn more or less is based on the skills and experience and stuff you're just bringing to the table. But in specific to football, equality is a myth. Why should everybody be paid the same wages? It doesn't make sense. If I am the trailblazer of the team, I'm scoring 20 league goals, I'm deciding games, my marketability, my shirts are selling out all the time. You know, when people think of me, I'm the global face of Arsenal, whatever. You know, I want to be paid what I want to be paid, you know, because the clubs are still going to get money. I am bringing this to the table. I still want to get paid, you know. Equality is it. Why should you be paid equally? It doesn't make sense. If you're doing more, you should be earning more. Obviously, there are people that are not worth their wages, but that's down to the club's mismanagement. And, you know, salary caps, if it makes clubs, you know, fix up, it is what it is. And you do have to wonder just generally with salaries, and more for me, transfer fees and the many different monies that go in there, when this bubble or monopoly of football will burst, because does seem a bit unsustainable. But in relation to salary caps, plans for salary caps in League 1 and League 2 are unlawful and unenforceable, says the PFA. And this is obviously in light with recent announcements that clubs voted for a limit of 2.5 and 1.5 million salary caps for the respective divisions. So I assume, you know, 2.5 for League 1, 1.5 for League 2. This is an article from the BBC. It said wages, bonuses, taxes and image rights plus agents and other relevant fees will be included within the cap, but bonuses gained from promotion or progression in cups will be exempt. So again, you know, all the usual things that go within transfers and renegotiation of contracts will fall under that umbrella. But, you know, in terms of bonuses for being promoted and winning cups, these will all count towards the cap and could be a bit of a tricky one for people to shift around in terms of when they get paid. Sorry people, I got that wrong. So yeah, obviously wages, in fact no, I got it right. Obviously bonuses and progression within cups and related monies within that are exempt. Clubs will be fined or face sanctions if they exceed the limits. The EFL hit back and PFA hit back and said the EFL has ignored its legal obligation to consult with the PFA and Professional Football Negotiation and Consultation Committee. As such, the legal advice we have received is clear that the salary cap envisioned by the EFL would be unlawful and unenforceable. And to be fair, the EFL would still keep getting richer, just like the Premier League. If the Premier League had caps, they would still keep making their money. So it is a bit of a thing, and it does, you know, you do have to wonder. Imagine if you're a player that's really, you know, you could be playing at higher leagues, you should be on a bigger contract, and you know, because of these caps in place, your club's able to keep you on a contract where you're worth more, you know. And some of you might say tough luck, but imagine you in the workplace. You know, if you've got a family and a mortgage and the experience and the ability to command 60,000, why should you be paid 18? Do you get it? It sounds ridiculous, but this is the sort of thing, you know. Why should for the club it'll be great, you know, if he's worth 60 and we've got him on 18, that's calm. But for you, that's inhumane. That's stopping your life progression. That's stopping your career earnings. That's stopping you, you know, thinking about retirement to a degree of things. So I do think it is a bit wrong. But apparently the PFA has said, as such, the legal advice we have received is clear that a salary cap envisioned would be unlawful and unenforceable. The PFA has already served its notice of arbitration on the EFL, and such time that arbitration is determined one way or another, new regulations should have no effect. While we share the league's commitment to protecting the long-term sustainability of the leagues, the salary cap proposals voted on today have been rushed through without the proper consideration or consultation. The financial positions of clubs, particularly outside the top 2 divisions in England, have been brought into focus in recent months because of the coronavirus pandemic. Apparently, yeah, the FL went on to say, the decision follows extensive and comprehensive consultation with all clubs in respect of addressing sustainability and wage inflation issues across the EFL, which were initiated prior to the suspension of football in March following the COVID outbreak. Those discussions culminated in today's divisional vote, with the representatives of League 1 and 2 clubs opting to implement the new measures in place of the existing salary cost management protocols. The chief executive of the EFL said the term salary cap is an emotive one, creating the impression of a restrictive measurement, but we are clear in our way that this is neither the objective nor the likely effect of those changes to the EFL regulations. The financial impact of COVID-19 will be profound for EFL clubs, and today's vote will help ensure clubs cannot extend themselves to the point that could cause financial instability, which is constantly true. He didn't, finally, to wrap up his statement, he said, "We will now work with all clubs, the PFA, and where appropriate other stakeholders to implement the new rules and continue our efforts to bring long-term sustainability to the EFL." The article went and said, what happens if a club exceeds the cap? If a club is over the salary cap by up to 5%, they will face a financial penalty for every £1 by which they exceed the limit. Any club exceeding the overrun will be referred to an independent disciplinary commission for further sanction. And it also said, what about clubs moving between divisions? The EFL says transitional agreements have been incorporated for relegated clubs and players on longer term contracts. Any contract entered to on or prior to the vote will be capped at an agreed divisional average until the contract expires. Moving forward, clubs that are relegated will be permitted to cap all contracts at divisional average prior to the club's relegation until those contracts expire. Moving away from that though, folks, and keeping up with Premier League news, apparently, you know, all Premier League fat cats will be happy. Their money isn't getting stopped. All 20 Premier League clubs decided that relevant cuts that were made due to the COVID virus outbreak, which could total up to 330 million via rebates to broadcasters, will instead be spread out over future seasons in order to not affect clubs' current income at this fragile time, according to the Times. Clubs also agreed to another advance of solidarity payments to EFL clubs after 125 million paid in April that was actually due in August this month. However, they stopped short of bailing out the lower league teams. All these decisions were discussed and made at last week's bi-yearly meeting between Premier League clubs' chief executives and chairmen. This is good news for Liverpool, who will receive a record sum of 175 million in prize money and TV broadcast earnings for their trophy triumph. So it is what it is, man. And apparently, you know, according to Swiss Ramble, a very good financial expert, he does a lot of good tweets, Liverpool could have expected a £21 million hit from their prize earnings if the decision was not made to stall the payout cuts. So we'll have to see. But the Premier League has still not confirmed the payments to clubs, as they usually do so in a week after the conclusion of the season. One of the main factors for delaying the lesser earnings in prize money was made because negotiations are still ongoing with 55 domestic and overseas broadcasters around a rebate for the disrupted schedule enforced by the pandemic. So yeah, man, everybody's chasing that paper and thinking, where has it gone? So it is what it is in that regards. But on that note, nothing more to add, so I'm going to get out of it. Deluded.